Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It's great to be with you this beautiful Friday morning. It's the last business day of February. Today is February 27th, 2026. I hope that each of you have had a very profitable February in your respective businesses and look forward to even a more profitable March, which will, of course, start here soon. On our screen, we have two shared windows. We have our website, spefunding.com. After several months of research and preparation, earlier this year, we launched the SPE, the Special Purpose Entity Funding Program. Frankly, we figured out what we'd been doing wrong. So, what we had been doing right was understanding that many entrepreneurs want money and need money. And what we understood then and still do now is in many cases, they don't qualify for the funding. So, there's not a shortage of money. There's plenty of banks and credit unions and other types of lenders, SBA, guaranteed and otherwise. But the problem all along has been that people that wanted the money didn't qualify. Well, what we also knew all along is that there's a formula for funding, as we've talked about, and a big part of it are the three C's. Does the borrower have the collateral? Does the borrower have the credit worthiness? And does the borrower have the capacity, the cash flow to qualify for the loan, to be able to repay back the loan? So that's been the same. What we changed with the SPE earlier this year is we've restructured where we provide all three C's. So collateral won't be a barrier because we provide the collateral. Credit won't be a barrier because we can provide a cosigner if needed on the personal side, and we continue to help add trade lines, which we'll be talking about in a moment, to build business credit worthiness on the business side. And then from a capacity perspective, that was the toughest problem for us to face. Because so often people would come to us and they're good people, they want funding, but we could never get an approval because we couldn't demonstrate to the lender that they could afford to repay it. Doesn't mean that they don't want it, that they don't need it. Doesn't even mean that they wouldn't repay it, but the lender needs to have that level of confidence. And so we have solved that with the SPE program. So my goal today isn't to get you up to expertise on the SPE program. That would take a little longer than we have. But more importantly, remind you, spefunding.com has training. So it's a three-step process, and steps one and two are not about selling anyone. It's about building financial literacy and helping build competency and familiarity with the structure, because there's many different ways to go get funding that are legal and ethical, of course. The SPE is a legal and ethical approach, but it's an aggressive, it's a contrarian, not controversial, but contrarian approach. So we always want individuals to understand how it works. And so under step one, there's a total of three trainings, one at the top, two bonus. Under step two, three trainings, one at the top, two bonus. Now, what this doesn't sit well with is a lot of busy professionals. It's like, man, I just want the money. I don't want to have to go watch six training videos. So that's fine. If they have a fundable business, we don't need to do any of this. But most people that want funding don't. And if they're going to use the SPE model, we want them to have a transparent understanding how it works. And frankly, most people, the more they understand it, the more they like it. So that is the same. And then, of course, if they want to participate, they come right over here. They click this button, it pops up a new screen, overview flyer, and then underneath it will be a one-page app. So all of that's the same. If you're not really familiar with the SPE program, you really owe it to yourself to set aside, I know it's some time, but a couple hours and become proficient. Because if you use the SPE program, we make a number of promises that we'll deliver on. One of which is we'll make sure that you get at least 250,000 of funding to start or grow a business. Secondly, we're also, in addition to that separate bullet, we're also going to make sure that you have $250,000 of income guaranteed in the first month. A lot of people don't give that much credit worthiness. It's like, oh, that's not important. I just want the loan. But again, there's three C's, and we talked about capacity, cash flow being one of those. So this is immensely important. And so we've had other trainings and talk about how that works. And there's a breakdown of that specifically here, but that is a big deal. And then when we set up the SPE, it can be an ongoing operating management consulting firm, or if the client doesn't want to, they don't have to, but it does have that option. So, with all that being said, today I want to focus in on the trade lines. And we've talked about this some before. So, when we talk about credit, again, there's two sides. There's business credit and personal credit. Business credit is where we take this SPE entity, we provide a corporation for free. So, if we go over here to the flyer, you'll see Shelf Corp comes with a compliant C Corp, the second bullet. So we provide that corp, and then we work with each SPE participant to add trade lines. And when we say add trade lines, we're doing it legally and ethically. We're talking about primary usable trade lines. So common examples would be business credit cards, business lines of credit, and company automobiles. Now, does everyone want a company automobile? Does everyone need a company automobile? No, no. So are we forcing that or credit cards or lines of credit on SPE participants? No, no. It's up to them. But the company automobile is a very important strategic element that we should consider in building out this SPE. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So on the right-hand side here, we're talking about our company car purchase program. Not something new that we're trying to sell or enroll people in, as stated. It's just an element of the SPE program because we want the business to be strong. We'd like the business owner to be strong, but if the business owner isn't strong credit-worthy wise, then we'll provide a cosigner. So we just work around it. So with that, this is the company car that we purchased yesterday. Not bragging, you can do the same thing, but it's real. It's real. And so we bought it. I can show you. We bought it under SPE funding. I'll make it larger so you can see. So we went and bought this vehicle with a brand new entity. So sometimes people think, oh, if you're going to go buy a company car, the business has to be around 6 months or 12 months, or it has to be profitable already. No, we just formed SPE funding recently to manage this project, and we were able to go purchase that vehicle. And so it's in the business's name. And that's the point. It's a company car. It's not a personal car. To go get a personal car, you don't really need our program, but to get a company car is great because it is a significant trade line. So we're going to always encourage our SPE participants to add trade lines, but what's true is bigger the better. So if we break down this trade line, that'll be reporting under SPE funding, and so obviously this would have the client's information when they're doing it. So in this case, it's going to be right about a $500,000 trade line. The car was right about 500,000. And so that's a big trade line, right? The size matters when it comes to trade lines because the bigger extensions of credit that reflect on our Dun and Bradstreet Paydex report, the more future borrowing capacity we have. And so again, do we have to do company automobiles? No. Is it an important strategy that everyone should consider? Yes. And so this is just the document that I got from the dealership yesterday. You can see that the payments are $7,689 a month. So obviously, the more expensive of a trade line you have, the more expensive the payments will be. but we don't have to do high-end vehicles. Even getting a very modest company vehicle, or let's say that someone already has a personal vehicle, they want to switch it over into the business's name and make it a trade line. We can do that too. So they don't even have to go get a new vehicle. We could switch over the one that they have. But the way that our company purchasing program, we work with a young lady named Brittany, and Brittany is here on the right in the beautiful white or tan pantsuit. So you'll be working with, if you want to participate in the company car program, you'll be working with Brittany, and she will facilitate it. And no, it doesn't have to be just a Porsche. So you get to pick the type of vehicle that you want. We have, again, lender relationships that will finance those higher end vehicles, or if you want to do something more normal, that's fine. If you want one vehicle or multiple vehicles, that's the beauty of businesses. Businesses have more borrowing capacity for loans, but they also can go get multiple company cars, where it'd be a lot harder for an individual to get multiple personal cars if that's what you need. One of the neat things, in addition to having Brittany work with you, is that our auto buying program, we actually have an artist that will actually do a custom painted picture of your car. So when you get your company car, they'll actually have painted a picture, a one-on-one picture. And then we are rolling out. This is going to be Tuesday of next week. We won't have a Zoom on Monday because of travel, but on Tuesday of next week, we're going to actually roll out an auto reimbursement program that will reimburse up to 8,000 a month. So if you get a real high-end vehicle, you'll still have to pay some out of pocket. But even in the case of the 911, it's a little bit less than 8,000 a month. With the auto buying program that we've built into the SPE program, company car, of course, one of the top questions we frequently get is, well, can we include other things in the financing? And the answer is yes. So, for example, they required a fire extinguisher to be added into the Porsche because it's a racing vehicle. PPF wrap, where they wrap the vehicle to protect the paint. Most of us would buy an extended warranty because it's so expensive to repair vehicles. So, yes, those items can be built in. I see Matthew's asking about down payments. It'll vary. I can't make any blanket promise. Brittany over here will work with you. And in many cases, there wouldn't be a down payment, but sometimes it depends on the vehicle. Because some vehicles will sell more than the MSRP. Jason and I were talking about this earlier this week. And when you go into the dealership, so, it used to be you'd go in and you'd negotiate and get a lower price. But depending upon the vehicle now, a lot of cars sell more than the MSRP. So like the 911 GT3s, they sell for 50,000 more than the MSRP. So what the sticker says, they won't sell it to you for that. It's 50,000 more. So with that, it can start to possibly put a down payment responsibility on the buyer. And we did need to put 25,000 down on this because we paid 50,000 over sticker. But in many cases, you should be able to avoid down payments, but we'll just have to get you with Brittany and see. And then sometimes people say, well, what if the car is not local? What if it's across the country or some other state? They can ship the vehicle to you, or you can fly in and go pick it up, or it could be a local dealership. So, what questions do any of you have? I'll shrink this down a bit on the relevance of helping clients get a company car. Does everyone understand the benefits or have questions? Number one, most people need transportation anyway. Why not have it in the business name so it's tax deductible? Secondly, trade lines matter. Credit matters. Sometimes people will try to tell you credit doesn't matter. I don't believe that that's true. Personal credit matters, but if we don't have a client with strong personal credit through the SPE, we provide a cosigner. So check that box. Business credit also matters. Well, how do we build business credit? Business credit happens by applying for trade lines, an extension of credit, getting approved for a trade line, an extension of credit, like a business credit card, like a line of credit, like a company automobile. And then when we make payments off of that, it reports onto, for instance, the Dun and Bradstreet. And so that shows our business is strong. So it's no surprising that we can guarantee a 250,000 capital raise through the SPE because we're providing all three C's. And from the credit side, we're providing a strong individual, either the client themselves or one of our co-signers, which is available at no cost. And then secondly, a strong business credit profile. So who has questions today on business credit, on trade lines, or more specifically, how we help people with company cars? Charlie says he or she has an LLC and they still wanted a cosigner. Yes. So depending upon the specific trade line, there may or may not need to be a guarantor or a cosigner. That is correct. So it varies. Some do, some don't. And if a cosigner is needed, that's where, well, if personal credit is included in the underwriting, that's where we provide a cosigner if needed. So yes, it is truthful to say that in many cases, lenders and or extenders of credit in general are wanting to look at the creditworthiness of the business, which we accomplish by adding trade lines. And in many cases, they'll want to look at the creditworthiness of the business owner or owners, anyone with 20% or more ownership. So again, if you've got strong credit, great, green light. If you don't, then we bring in our cosign. So I don't know that we're getting around that. We're just working the system legally and ethically. All right. So Matthew asked, what's the debt to income ratio on the trade lines? Well, so this is all honest and actual. That's why I literally put up our agreement from yesterday. So we just formed SPE Funding Corporation very recently. It has frankly no earned income yet. Now, March will be an incredible month, but a new business we just formed. So here's a pre-revenue business. No, now we put initial deposit into the bank account, of course, but no client income yet, and we didn't misrepresent that. We didn't lie, cheat, or steal. So a new company through the SPE model with no income. And yes, we went and bought this vehicle, a $500,000 vehicle. So yes, it'll work. Matthew also asked about total amount of cars. So yeah, we can do multiple vehicles, but it kind of has to make sense, right? So we need to look at it all comes down to structuring, as we've talked about before. So our normal SPE model that we're setting up for people is a management consulting firm, and they don't have to operate as we've talked about. But would someone that's a management consultant need a company vehicle? Yeah, to drive around it. Now, if you wanted four company vehicles, how do we start to justify that? Well, if you had four staff people and each person needed a car, but there's always this logical overlay where it has to make sense. So getting each SPE, one company car, sure. Two, probably. But if we get more than that, they're going to often ask, well, what's the use? So we might need to add in an SUV or a truck or a sedan, different vehicles, so it makes sense. But we'll work with you on that. And then Matthew lastly asked, is there a total amount? To be honest with you, this is the highest company automobile that we've ever facilitated. And again, it ended up being what, 579,000 when it's all done. So that's the largest we've done. I think it could go higher. I talked to a gentleman at the Lamborghini dealership. His payments were 10,000 a month, where ours is just a very modest 8,000 a month. So I guess conceptually it could go higher, but I just want to be transparent. This is the biggest one that we've facilitated, but it works, and Brittany can help. Um, Kenneth is asking a good point. Yeah, so Part of what makes this work, we're getting new businesses, which SPE funding is a new business. We formed it to show you the model works. The key to getting some of these deals done is having, I guess I'll call it, some inside help. So between Brittany shown here and then working with the lenders, we're able, yes, we're able to get some deals financed that wouldn't be otherwise. But that's because of the by leveraging the model. But that is a true statement. Okay, and then KE asks, if a down payment is needed, can we delay it until after the business funding goes through? Well, I mean, you could try it, KE, but if you, we'll just use this dealership in this example. If you went to the Porsche dealership, KE, and said, hey, I want a $500,000 Porsche, and because they're selling it above MSRP, well, if they told you the same thing they told us, hey, you're going to put 25,000 down, and you said, well, I'm broke. I don't have 25,000, but I'll pay you later. You could propose that to them, KE, but I don't know. I think if it does require a down payment, they would probably expect you to bring it. But we don't have to go get a $500,000 car, right? Maybe we go get a $50,000 car where it's better within someone's budget. So this isn't about overspending. It is factual, though, that the larger the trade line, the better. Don't fool yourself. If we can get a business credit card, we probably want to get the biggest offer we can get. If we can get a business line of credit, we probably want to get the biggest offer we can get. Company automobiles, big, all I can say is bigger is better because it shows stronger on the Dun and Bradstreet. So who else has questions on this? Now I know this is somewhat tangential to the overall picture of SPE funding where we're focused on the cash capital raise. That's our bread and butter, right? Going and getting 250,000 of cash. If we need more than 250,000, we can repeat the SPE program. We've talked about that. There's more information on spefunding.com. But I did feel like that I owed you a real life example of how brand new entities under the SPE model can go turn around and get large trade lines. So let's just do a quick survey. We have 533 of you on this morning. How many of you are interested, not asking you to commit, but in the month of March, how many of you would like to get a company vehicle? So you have that trade line, you have the tax write-off, and let's ignore the auto reimbursement program because we're going to talk about it on Tuesday of next week. We'll be rolling it out in March. But does anyone see the value of having a company vehicle, something that you would like help with in March? So again, it's not some separate enrollment, not some cost for it. Just need to make sure that you're participating in the SPE program. We'll work with you to do the cash capital raise. But part of qualifying for a large cash capital raise is having credit worthiness. Credit worthiness again can happen from the business side by adding trade lines, does not have to be automobiles. And then secondly, by having good personal credit. If the client themselves doesn't have strong personal credit, then we can provide a co-signer. Charlie's asking about trucks. Yeah, so that's right. So this is a personal, well, I shouldn't say personal. This is that's a sports car, right? So some businesses would need a pickup, some would need a van, some need tow trucks, some need delivery trucks, some need semis. So sure, this I guess we should call it a company vehicle purchasing program because as a white collar business, we don't need a dump truck driving around. But certainly if that's the business you're in, then you would. So yes, we could substitute the white 911 for a dump truck, a tow truck, an ambulance, whatever is needed. Absolutely. And the rest of it all would work the same. Charlie's, I guess, new to the Zooms, and he's asking about the SPE program. So, yes, for any of you that are not proficient, I strongly encourage, as I started our session with today, please go to spefunding.com, There's a three-step process at the bottom of the page, and there are training videos. And I know you're busy and you don't have time for this nonsense, but if you want to use this advanced strategy, it's legal, it's compliant, but you need to understand it, please go through the training videos at the bottom of SPE funding so you understand. But yeah, there's no out-of-pocket cost. All right. So with that, just to close it out. So no Zoom on Monday. We're traveling. On Tuesday, we're going to have a big announcement. All good news, nothing bad. And part of it is going to include the auto reimbursement program where we'll be able to reimburse up to 8,000. And I know some of you are pushing back, wishing we'd go higher, but 8,000 will get you about a $500,000 vehicle. So that's as much as we can allocate. So if your company vehicle were 9,000 a month, monthly payments, you'd pay 1,000 a month. But I think most of us should be able to stay below 8,000 a month. All right, with that being said, please visit spefunding.com, watch the trainings, and if you believe that this is the structure that would help you raise capital, 250,000 in the next 30 days, please go ahead and complete the enrollment on step 3. And we'll see you back on Tuesday morning. No Zoom on Monday. See you back on Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Central. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.